It was remarkably straightforward, actually, getting into hospital radio because I'd been interested in radio for a while. And I actually got in touch with a BBC announcer, Bob Christie, and he invited me up to the BBC to have a look around. And I did, and he said he also said, "Have a go, just in recording something." And he said, "Well, actually, I think that's not bad. So why don't you get a bit of experience?" And he said, "There's a chap called Eric Simpson at Hospital Broadcasting Service in Glasgow. I'm sure he'd say hello anyway and have a chat." So I did just that. I got in touch with Eric Simpson, and he made it very clear that not just any old jock off the street could walk in and get a show, because he maintained tremendously high standards. And you just couldn't come in and say, "I want to do a show on the
Yeah.
radio," and be put on air. It wasn't like that at all. You had to kind of prove your worth a long time before you get near the microphone. So he was very encouraging, though. He let me say a few words, and then said, "Okay, I'll put you on Sunday night." And I went on Sunday night with two turntables. I had no idea that you could put a signature tune onto a thing called a cartridge.
Mm.
I had my signature tune on a disc, which I played for a bit, and then faded out and put on the other disc with two turntables. And same at the end of the show, I put my pre-faded signature tune on a disc at the end. I had absolutely no idea. It was much easier if you just got on a cartridge, but I never thought to ask anything. So I did my first show, and they said, "Well, carry on, do a few more, keep going." But I say that the hugely important part was that you were expected to be good already.
Yeah.
You couldn't just go on air and make mistakes. You had to be able to get away with it to begin with. Of
But
course, you made
you,
mistakes, but
you
yeah,
also,
sorry.
and maybe you had the same experience, I don't know, but I certainly had the experience with Eric that I was always made aware that what I was doing wasn't for me, wasn't for a career, wasn't to show off, wasn't to learn the business. It was for the patients. And that's what he was passionate about. He used to send me out to get requests. Did you ever have to do that?
Yeah, going around the wards, taking requests, and because there were a number of hospitals attached to it, many of them were geriatric hospitals, and that was reflected in the music. But you're absolutely right. He insisted that you bore your audience in mind, and that is something that everybody who's involved in any form of broadcasting should be aware of, and in fact have as their guiding light. Because if you're not broadcasting to your audience, if you're just doing it for your own enjoyment, then you're never going to communicate with anybody. And the communication with the patients, with the people who were listening, that was vital. I think that continues to be vital. No radio station is successful if it doesn't know who it's talking to. From the biggest to the very smallest, they've got to have a clear idea of who the audience is and speak to that audience. And Eric and the whole of HBS did that, and did that brilliantly. As I say, that's something I've remembered all the way through my career. It's not what you want to do, it's what your audience wants.
Yeah. And the thing is now, 2025, Global, Bauer, all the big players spend fortunes on market research. Our market research was go out in the rain, get to that hospital and go and talk to people.
Yeah, and the phone lines were open, and people phoned up and they asked for their requests. And the requests were always Ethna Campbell singing The Old Rugged Cross, or Old Shep from Elvis Presley, or
Yeah.
Jim Reeves, I Love You Because. Okay, you didn't want to play those all the time, but you knew you had to play them. You could put in some of your own stuff, but it had to be relevant to the kind of thing
Mm.
that your audience were wanting to hear.
Yeah. I'm slightly disappointed you didn't mention Sydney Devine.
I always try to avoid these five records. Bless them. Bless them, old Sydney. Very, very good. But, I tried to aim for others.
So here we are in 2025, and very different days from when you and I were doing hospital radio because there wasn't much opposition in the hospital. Now you can take your phone and you can take your iPad, tablet, whatever you want, and you've got access to hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of things that can take your attention rather than listening to hospital radio. How does hospital radio stand out today then? What do they do?
Well, the first thing is get round the wards, get round the hospitals, see people, ask them what they would want to hear. The other thing is putting up plenty of stuff around the hospital, if you're allowed to advertise your presence. Letting people know you're there is the first thing. But the second thing is having a very, very clear idea of who you're talking to. And if people in hospital beds feel that, I mean, yes, you're right, a massive number of things available to them, but they're in a very specific situation, and quite a frightening situation for many, many people. And they want to know there's somebody who gets where they are and gets what they are feeling like. And if a hospital radio station can communicate that to the people who are in hospital, then it's got its audience. It's found its audience. If you listen to what they would like to hear, kind of program they would like to hear, kind of music, if it's music, they're going to get the kind that they want to hear. Listen to the audience, deliver what they want, and never forget it's a two-way communication. It's not just you behind your microphone talking at people. It's them telling you what they want to hear.
Ken, appreciate it. Good luck. Always nice to catch up with you. All the very best.
It's an absolute pleasure to see you looking so old. I mean, looking so fine and well. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Yeah, nice to talk to you once, but let's not do it twice.
No. We'll not make that mistake again. Great to see you. All the best.